Thank you so much for joining us today. We know how busy everybody is, so we truly appreciate you taking the time with us today. As the title implies, today's session is focused on unlocking new product opportunities for content creators. That may mean traditional publishing organizations, but also any department in an organization that's looking to create a corpus of content. That might be technical manuals, customer guidance, or regulatory reporting. We will discuss how to take your content and make it suitable for the next generation of content consumption via semantic search or GenAI. I would really like to welcome our speakers today. We've got Rodney from CAS. He's going to discuss how they're leveraging their content repository to create new product offerings for the market and the change management required to make such a product successful. Then we're going to hand over to Sylvia from Datavid, who helped build the new platform in conjunction with CAS to do a demo. And finally, we're going to bring on Balvinda from Datavid for the question and answer session. But before we get to our great speakers, I just want to take a few minutes to explain how our customers are approaching the new world of semantic search and how this is building towards an AI future. We would welcome your questions during today's presentation, so please use the questions box in the GoToWebinar side panel and enter any questions you have, and we'll review these and answer them after the final presentation. So I really wanted to lay a bit of groundwork before we hand on to our speakers today to give some context of how our customers are generally approaching this shift from online publishing to future applications. If you've attended any of our previous publishing webinars, you'll be aware of this content wheel, which really shows the evolution of content and where we're heading next. Creators have moved from paper and PDF through products like MarkLogic storing their XML and making it searchable, but they're really pushing towards the right-hand side of the wheel, where we're trying to use customer data and smaller enriched pieces of content to drive smarter content decisions and moving into the world of generative AI. Smarter content requires the enrichment of your content to add semantic metadata and linking your content together with your business knowledge to create small, discrete pieces of content focused on a particular topic. There are lots of variety of use cases for smarter content. We don't have time to go into all of these today. We're just going to touch on a couple of them. So I want to talk about smarter search, which is the most common use case. This is where we use semantically enriched content and interfaces to delight customers and giving them the right information at the right time. And Rodney's going to provide some real world examples of that later. And then answer engines are a real area of interest for our customers. With the unbelievable growth and capabilities of LLM, our customers really want to take their internal private data and ask questions of it without having to go through the answers. A traditional search, as we've seen on many platforms, is typically a keyword-based search. It's looking to match a string of text in the content that you have available, and then using various methods to rank the results to try and push the most relevant content to the top. A semantic search goes beyond mere keyword matching, and it strives to understand the meaning and context behind the queries to deliver more accurate and relevant search results. Let's look at a real-world example with Lux from Yale. This is an amazing site, which I can warn you, you'll lose hours in. It's built on a semantic model at its heart, and Lux provides access to the huge cultural heritage held by Yale. You start with a Leonardo da Vinci search. You can see we're not just looking at a keyword match, but we have classes of content related to the concept of Leonardo da Vinci. Here you can see objects held in the collection that were created, encountered, or influenced by da Vinci. On the right-hand side, you can see the model information and international spellings and other items for da Vinci. And you can even see works that are influenced by him. This is more than simple keyword search, but a semantic understanding of the concept being searched for and how the content relates to it. And I think this sort of speaks to the evolution. We've seen three major evolutions in digital content discovery since the World Wide Web came online. It started with browsing. For those of old of us to remember Yahoo, it was a hierarchical structure of content that you browsed through to get to what you were looking for. We then moved on to search, where content was discovered based on the keywords in its content. Recently, we're seeing the move to semantic search gain traction, where it's not just the content, but the relationships driving the discovery. And now we're really headed into the next evolution of content discovery, with LLMs allowing us to ask natural language questions of content and get answers in a way that was previously just not possible. Users are already experimenting with LLMs, and it's changing their expectations of what platforms can do. So how can we create trustworthy platforms in this world of AI? Anyone that's heard anything about GenAI and LLMs is well aware of the many concerns and shortcomings, as well as the huge potential. Really, this comes down to some classic truisms. Bad data in is bad data out. You need to leverage your private data held in your repository, but maintain control over how it's being utilized and the facts being discovered so you can protect your reputation. Again, we don't have time to cover all these in detail as we really want to get to Rodney's story, but I want to touch on a couple of technical challenges. To provide trustworthy, accurate results, we need to capture the subject matter expertise that's inherent in your content. We need to find a way for the SMEs to model their understanding of the data so it can be used with the AI. That allows us to understand the semantics of what the user's asking for, such as are they using synonyms or terms not present in the text. The other main point is retaining flexibility and reputation. Your organization has worked hard over decades to earn the trust of your readers with high quality content that has been expertly authored, edited, and curated. You can't afford for sloppy AI results to put that reputation at risk. You must be in control of the whole pipeline and the quality of the responses your customers are getting. So the Progress Data Platform, built on the foundations of MarkLogic and Semaphore, really provide the core tooling to allow organizations to create truly smarter content. Progress Data Platform allows you to take a user's query and interpret your SME's knowledge held in Semaphore, so you gain more understanding of their request. Then augment this query with the relevant smart content from your repository held in MarkLogic, applying the relevant security controls to make sure that only the right data is exposed. And then this data set is then sent to the GenAI to answer based on all the knowledge that we've sent it. That then returns the answer, which can then be governed and validated and annotated with the real data before given back to the customer. So here's a quick example. I uploaded some Shakespeare plays and asked a simple question. And you can see in our search results, it brings back a group of results. And I can go through and I can look to see if I can get my answer. However, we can process these results with the power of the GenAI to automatically answer the question directly. The user doesn't have to read through the results, but can get the links to the facts to make sure the accuracy is correct. Perhaps you want a more chatbot experience for your audience. Here we're asking a question and diving into it as we're asking further questions with the chatbot. And in this example, we're using the chatbot to ask what the Progress maternity policy is. The option on the left shows the response from a publicly trained AI, but the option on the right is actually trained on Progress documentation. And you can see it gives a lot more detailed information. In the next example, we're being a bit more specific. We're asking what the policy is in Bulgaria. And you can see the response on the right gives a comprehensive answer to our policies. But what's particularly interesting is the question and response is in English, but the source documents were actually in Bulgarian. Using vector information, which is a feature coming in MarkLogic 12, we can encapsulate the semantic understanding of the content using MarkLogic. The technology related to GenAI is moving fast, as are our customers' expectations. No one's clear of the future direction, so you want to make sure you're investing in a platform that is flexible and agnostic to the AI engines that you want to use. Progress Data Platform allows you to remain in control of the quality, governance, and security, which is vital for content creators looking to maximize their IP. The ability of MarkLogic to support lexical searches, semantic or vector, allow you to mix these on a query by query basis to make sure you get the best results. So the main takeaway from everything we've covered today is that smarter content, making chunks of topic focused content enriched with metadata, is the evolution and backbone to get to a Gen AI powered interface and building new platforms. Thanks for your time. And with that, I would like to pass over to Rodney to talk about the platforms they've built at CAS.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Want to talk to you a little bit about our journey. It's not necessarily a LLM or AI discussion, but our journey to go from being a transformational journey in knowledge management. The framework of this innovation of this presentation will be, I'm going to talk a little bit about CAS and who we are. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about our transformational journey. And then I'm going to talk about collaboration with a great partner who invited us today to speak. And scientific innovation, CAS. CAS is the industry leader in content curation, information, and chemistry. We've been doing it for over 80 years now and are known for our registry of substance databases. Our scientists are here, have been doing content curation, like I said, for over 80 years. We've been extracting value out of documents and registering chemistry information since that dawn of time. And even we've been using AI and automated assisted, I like to say machine assisted curation methods for a very long time now. But in our journey, what we have found, as though everybody else has found, AI and technology in itself is not enough to get you the type of results as previously mentioned. And matter of fact, when it talked about what would become commodity, a lot of folks thought that data would become commodity and it would be the innovations in technology. But as you're seeing that the technology is becoming so advanced and so easily to acquire and accommodate that sometimes AI and algorithms, that's what's looking commodity. But the results are built on the data you're getting. And what we're finding out is just because you have a technologist, a data scientist, that's not enough to get you the accurate results you want. So we found out that this journey is a triangle of success. Yes, you do need your tech and algorithm experts to learn how to generate results, but then you need content experts, those who understand the mapping and the tagging, what going from data to content. Machines understand data, but content are understood by experts in the area. And then you need domain experts. Those are the folks that are there to do the semantic modeling and tagging to let you know the context of this data and ontologies that need to be represented. You need all three of these to succeed in this innovative world. And CAS has that triangle. We're going into an approach of our internal operations, and that is transforming our curation tools, some of them 80 years old, into a new, flexible, agile platform able to enhance and improve efficiencies. Our customer-facing solutions is products that we provide search around our data, highlighting the semantic capabilities that was previously mentioned that are being provided, but also our major goal is to be able to have custom solutions that provide AI with those who want to partner with us in this journey, that we can provide them our data, but also take their data and bring it into our environment. But the major thing and the major difference is we're going beyond core chemistry. We started off with those products that we produce today with SciFinder and STN, but now we're moving into biology, and where we're going to be demoing this product lately that just was released, CAS BioFinder, and then eventually into material science. So we're going to be covering the whole spectrum of the scientific domain. And like I said, the major goal is collaborating with partners to integrate their data into our data. The bottom line is, when it's all said and done, in my opinion, I want to keep promoting that if it's science, it's CAS. But to get to where we want to be, we had to solve big challenges. We had 80 years in core chemistry, over 80 years to build the most comprehensive chemistry database of knowledge of curated and high quality information. We wanted to do the same thing in biology in 2 to 3 years. With that, you see the need for automated capabilities to help us get to the point where we needed to be. Let's tell you about some of the challenges of that transformational journey as we go into. Well, when we first started off in this life science approach, we had some challenges because even though we had 80 years to do it, a lot of the capabilities for curating it was built on technology still existing over 30 years old for curation tools. Many content sources from different places. It took over 18 months to process a newly acquired content because all of the processes were optimized for something that was not agile, was not fit to meet the business needs of the day. So the results ended up being inconsistent inconsistency across data sources, quality changes, and everything that you're seeing before you right now. They told me you don't want to just read slides, you know how to, but delays in normalizing content because the processes wasn't built to innovate today. It required a mind shift. How do you take a company that is built on its reputation of quality and assurance and are a giant in the industry and give them the mindset of a startup? We have to be able to innovate. Innovation is key when you're a challenge, when you go from being a leader to a challenger. We had to lower and monitor opportunity costs. We had to build for change, not to last. We had to be able to improve time to market, and most of all, we had to be able to fail fast. To achieve this, this is not just about technology. This was a total mind shift in people, process, and technology. And producing an architecture, producing a way of working that allow us to separate content creation from product production and be able to create the storehouse of information that the products can come pull from, but all of them able to react to feedback. Content creation can react to feedback from product creation. Product creation can react from feedback from content creation. But most of all, we can easily handle feedback from customers. We talked about people, process, and technology. Well, talking a little bit about process. One of the things we found out that we had to do was put agility back into our agile practices. This might be something that you face as a company. I'll go through this quickly. We became an agile. We started doing agile practices, but what ended up happening is the agile ceremonies became the value, as opposed to that value, that those processes helping to deliver the value. And we found out that we was more concerned about backlog grooming, sizing, retros, and interaction, retros, and whatever other ceremony things in place to account for value instead of the actual business value. And we was tracking activity. I went to a retro, and they spent an hour showing me their velocity, their counts, the number of cards they did. And after they were done, I simply said, we just spent an hour justifying to tech that tech is doing work. And because there was no business person there. So one of the things we had to do was bring the business back into our technology agile practices and favor individual interaction over process and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration. It makes no difference what's written on a paper. If at the end, if what you give me is not what I need, and you turn to me and say, well, that's not what you've written, at the end of that effort, we all have failed. So we have to come up with a better way to collaborate and responding to change instead of following plan. That's just getting a mindset shift and putting agility back into your agile practices. We had to do that. But the major thing when it came to people is a culture shift. You have to be able to put your business expert, the one who is giving the requirements, with the one who is implementing the requirements and make them sit side by side. And I know we have different roles in these processes, such as BAs and QAs, but these are folks who are interpreting what another person says to another person. A BA takes requirements from the expert, and then without the expert being there, they try to document these things in a well enough fashion, and they are the main people who are explaining the work to the people who will be doing the work. Instead of having the person who will be doing work talking directly to the person who is giving the requirements. Um, what this then fosters is a blame culture for how we're going to defend against failure. I want to make sure that I document that I gave you the requirement. I'm going to make sure that I document that I designed and told you how long it's going to take and all those type of things. Instead of fostering an environment of trust. I'm going to sit with you, you're going to sit with me, and we're going to work out what's the best way together to bring success to this team. Um, Instead of taking the value and throwing it over the board and moving it around to the team, bring those people who are important to the value, and we all sit in the same room. Uh, we have to do this to be able to innovate and collaborate. But also, what makes that possible is having the right tool for the job. And those things that we are talking about today, uh, I don't think we could be able to do it in the manner in which we did it at CAS without 5 years ago. But our transformation has been powered by Progress, MarkLogic, leveraging AWS. And it provided the simple things: visibility, change agility, speed, and performance. And I understand that there's a lot of talk about LLM integration. I understand that there's a lot of talk about AI integration. But the best thing about MarkLogic is that it does the simple thing well, gives you access to your data as quickly as possible and give you visibility over your data. Big data makes the hard things possible, but it makes the simple things hard. And where people fail is that the things that you have to do 80 daily, 75% of the time, taking most of your costs, we ignore the challenges of that and trying to make hierarchical data something else that is not. The biggest thing in publishing is all our data is usually in the format of XML. Anything that you have to do to make that XML something else is the most costly thing that is going to take place. And it stops you from innovating. This is our own legacy architecture. We had, and this is not all the repositories, but we had 5 different repositories that we would send data to that was not providing visibility enough. That before we could verify that we did something right, we had to do it in 30-year-old legacy curation technology with not good visibility. Push it to another store that was big data, that was our content lake, that didn't provide good visibility. We pushed it to another one that was going to replace it. To finally, we got it into the product to see how we was going to use it. That represented one loop of a change. What we decided to do, because that was taking over 18 months to get feedback and things to get the content through, we said we're going to bring in MarkLogic. And we did a 90-day POC. We called it Roadrunner to see if we can bring this down. And using MarkLogic as the core technology, we provided to do activities, the basic knowledge management activities: ingestion, curation, search and discovery, and enrichment, that went across 5 repositories. We brought them all into one because MarkLogic provided the one capability that you needed to be able to do curation. I can't fix what I can't see. And people who tell me that they started off with an enterprise data hub or content lake effort, and ended up with a data swamp, I can almost guarantee they did not use MarkLogic, because MarkLogic is almost virtually impossible to create a data swamp because it gives you low-level visibility into the content that you bring in without development. Ingestion is, if it's hierarchical, I suck it in, I load it up, 15 minutes, and I can see. And now what we were able to do was provide a stage gate process that went across 5 repositories to all go against one repository. All people are looking at the same source of truth. Curation happens, ingestion happens against the operational data store. The curation happens against the same operational data store, search and discovery. And the combination of being able to have multimodal type information in there, which allowed us to bring in not only uh, text, XML, JSON, but the combination of being able to combine semantic modeling, the triple store, with semantic search allowed us to do great things, such as we used semantics to connect our complex enriched data entities at a relational level. That way we got the power of graph, but we got the power of property graph, being able to select the core detail granular elements and visibility in that, just because of the ability of MarkLogic to give us access to all the data. If this was a great analogy that I would tell, if this was a warehouse in traditional other technologies, the reason why they have to use metadata because uh, my information sits in a warehouse in a box, and on that box is a label telling me what's inside of it. And if what's inside of it is not on that label, I don't know. And to get something else into that, I have to do an effort to open up the box, take the information out, and put it on that label. With MarkLogic, it's like having that same package, but under glass. It can have a label, but I'm also able to see everything that's in it. These things are what makes it so powerful, because it does the simple things great. If you're in publishing and you're using something else other than MarkLogic, you're probably costing yourself millions of dollars. We did Roadrunner. Um, we combined knowledge management and semantic search. And this is us saying, hey, I don't have to break this thing up and write ETL to get all the elements out into a property graph before I can use it. That costs too much. What MarkLogic allows me to do is bring in the XML as is, and then connect the high-level entities using semantics. And that is great for many operations on the semantic search side, but also the basic need of subsetting and being able to create a coherent data set. This instantly gave us the ability to give transaction packages that are coherent, but also subset for test data. What were the results of this 90-day POC? The results of this 90-day POC is we went from being able to process one content set from new source to product over a year to being able to do it in less than 75 days. And then even now, we took in this last iteration that we did, we were able not just to do one, we did 14 new data sources, one of them being $8.3 million in new biomarker data and those type of things. The results were so good. We implemented that across our new, it's the basis of our new curation platform. We're calling it Phoenix. We're going to renovate and our scientists, we're so excited giving our access to scientists and new tools and new things. But I talked a lot about the content creation side, didn't say much about the application development side. After we got the improvements on the content creation side, we said, hey, can we use these same type of technology, innovation, processes, and people changes to produce value on the product side and increase time to market? And so we did another POC called Prime, and this is when we brought in our great partners at DataVid. And we needed a great partner, the right partner, because we looked at our practices and the way we interacted. And we needed somebody who would collaborate with us and have built us a relationship of trust, because we wanted to be something that they will be willing to negotiate with us, change when we needed to be changed, react to, like I say, don't worry about the plan, but let's react to the feedback that we're getting. And they proved to be the right partner. Um, and so from January 1st, after the Prime POC was approved, we had 90 days to re-platform and re-architect our new offering in the field of BioFinder. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so instead of showing you slides or pictures of how successful it was, I want to now bring on my partner from DataVid, Sylvia, and she's going to demo this new product that just went live uh, May 5th, last week, May 1st. Um, um, Sylvia, hand it over.
Thank you, Rodney. I have worked along Rodney throughout the product phases of this journey that CES went through. And this needed me to make lots of demos to the very knowledgeable stakeholders. So this demo will be a bit different than the ones I usually make. BioFinder, as I see it, is a platform for discovering relevant information in the field of biochemistry and drug intelligence/discovery. So I'm going to try to put myself in the shoes of a scientist and start by doing some research tasks. As you look at my screen, you are seeing some words that you may not be familiar with. So I will just work on the ligand, which is basically more or less of a substance. So I'm going to look for a disease, fatigue, and I'm trying to find all of the substances which are pertaining to this disease. So I see this one, which also has this icon, which in BioFinder means that it's also a registered drug. So I'm starting to doing some research. I see that it has been approved in 1987, but this is a good piece of information, but as a scientist, I work better with a lot more data. Here's where I see what kind of proteins or biomolecules are interacting with this substance, and they have registered all sorts of measurements. But I am more interested in how it interacts with the human organism. Okay, so I'm selecting from here. And I see that there is a lot of data about the human part and looking at all of these values. I can search also for measurements regarding the toxicology of this substance and so on. But I would like to maybe see similar substances. I'm just going to make the substance a little less specific and research them further. So substances with a very similar structure, such that I can check their measurements and make some decisions on where to take my research next. This doesn't look too interesting, this neither. I'm just browsing. Okay, I think this one would give me more more luck in the research that I'm doing. I'm analyzing the pharmacology, then I see that there are some metabolites, which are basic transformation from the current substance via a chemical process, which gets me to a different kind of substance. Okay, now let's say this concludes my research on the substances. Now, in the substances, we also have antibodies. You might have heard about this during the COVID pandemic. So I'm going to use a protein and start my search from this kind of perspective. So I will choose this substance, and I see that it's actually an antibody, and I will start to browse through the related immunotherapeutics. Immunotherapeutics means antibodies or antibody drug conjugates. And here I can see the proteins and all of the substances which are connected to it, and if these substances are also existing in the CAS knowledge base, or if they are new ones which haven't been matched either. And so on. I can continue my research by just going through all of the linked data that has been created and then make valuable choices. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. That was fantastic. Okay. So I think we can now get to some questions and answers and look through the questions that you guys have submitted. And let's go to the first one. Balvinda, do you have some questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the CES team on the release of the BioFinder platform. And I'd like to thank from the DataVid team to, thank Rodney for giving us the opportunity to collaborate with your team and bring this innovative new product to the market. So my first question is around, the BioFinder discovery platform. And it says that it can aid pharmaceutical companies in their drug discovery program. Can you please share with us how you're using, predictive technologies and knowledge graph to improve the discovery?
Well, yes. First of all, I want to say thank you to Sylvia. As you see, she's one of the greatest demos I ever got to work with, and seeing her come over into not being a scientist and being able to give a demo at that detail is great. One of the areas she showed you was in the area of metabolites. There's many areas that we have done predictive technology in this, but we can't give everything. But what she did show you was predictive metabolites, and that is generated from AI tools that are actually saying, based on information we understand about these substances, we have known metabolites, but for those that are not registered, what are possible other metabolites that might be generated from this if it was put together and used? So that's AI technology in that area. What we're also doing is connecting the different entities that you saw at the semantic level. So she looked at ligands, you saw scaffolds, you saw proteins, you saw diseases. These things are semantically connected using the triple store provided by MarkLogic to allow us to easily traverse the graph of interaction of these data, allowing us to, in one query, one pool, be able to build back all associated information starting in one area and letting you see instantly things that you are or may be interested in.
That's great. Thanks, Rodney. And just a follow-on question, you mentioned about having the right tool, right? And you mentioned Progress MarkLogic platform was used in the BioFinder discovery platform. Did you measure any, impacts or observe, with respect to time to market or content monetization by using the MarkLogic platform, what levels of, benefits you were able to achieve, or some measurable, something which you measured?
Yes. The reason why we say that, we did the prime POC, like we did the Roadrunner on the content side. That was part of it. It's when you saw the title, it's procurement to publish to product. All of that is one big chain. How fast does it take us to get new sources that we need to curate to products? And we needed to make that from 18 months to less than 90 days. We were able to generate that. And matter of fact, we said from January, we were given the go, and we had to build that product that you just saw. And everybody who understands this can appreciate all the data and all the interconnectivity that's going on into that. I want you to know the majority, many of those fishes, especially antibodies, started off as nothing in January and was produced into product capabilities by the time we released this May. Some of the things that I need to highlight in time to market is regardless of what LLM you use, regardless of what AI capability you use, all of those are going to be interfaces that provide usually a JSON or XML response. The power of MarkLogic is allowing you to integrate this data from anywhere and make it a part of the same searchable repository. That's the power. Yeah, there are other things that does the hard work, but it makes bringing it together and associating a no-op. That is where the time is spent that usually all of our developers are doing that because that's what we have to do constantly. And that's what stops us from innovating. Also, that's this little thing that we did not show, structure search, and it brings in the extensibility of MarkLogic itself. We were able to take CAS's leading proprietary structure search technology, and through MarkLogic's UDF capability, incorporate that into MarkLogic itself. And now we're able to provide the power of CAS doing chemical searching with the power of semantic graph and syntactical searching that is provided by MarkLogic. And all of that happened within that time frame. So yes, we reduced our, I don't know if that's 300%, 400%, however you want to put it. Yes, we achieved great things. And that demo was not smoke and mirrors. That's our product that's out there today. Just want to put it out there. Let's go. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so customers can come on board and start using it now. Yeah, that's excellent. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that, Rodney. Just one last question from my side. Can you shed some light on what kind of strategies you employed for ensuring data quality and governance? You talked about data pipeline. Can you just shed some light on that bit also?
Well, in the bottom line is we're doing knowledge management. And that's why we separated content creation from product application development. So we can provide the proper data governance structure around our data. CES has made a great investment into having a data governance entity that is responsible for all content that we are creating. That is paramount. You got to have the experts, and then you also have the standard and governance. So that's something that CAS has been doing that's what we're known for. Our content is what separates us. Our content experts is what separates us. We have a scaled infrastructure to provide the humans in the loop that you're looking for to be able to improve data, the ALML models, and we have it at scale. So that's why we're looking to partner. Thank you for this opportunity. We're looking for those who want to partner with us in this journey for scientific discovery in biology, chemistry, and also soon to come material science, that we can look at ways to help improve the world.
That's phenomenal, Rodney. And one thing that I wanted to pick up on was that I really loved the fact that you were talking more around your business journey and the changes in your change management and the processes. One thing I was interested in is you had your triangle of experts. How do you coordinate between those? How do you keep those people on the same page and pushing in the same direction?
Here's the thing. Believe it or not, most of our agile practices are set up to compensate for the customer not being a part of the team. Why is that? Why is the customer not a part of the team? They're the person who starts off giving the requirements, hand it over to technology that might have a lot of agile practices, that might have touch points with which they work with business. But at the end, they're going to do something called user acceptance testing. And they're going to bring that person that gave them requirements at the end and say, is this right? And we know 95% of the time they say, no, this is not what we wanted. The way we deal with that is they are on the team. And so the way that we keep them involved is because they're there day one from the journey, providing instant feedback every day. So you don't have to worry about compensating for them if they're a part of the process. you do when they're not a part of the process. So now we learn that these type of technology, agile, scrum, stand-ups, whatever you want, they're not just a tech conversation. They are a conversation where we're all getting a good understanding of the what. Because if you tell a technical person what you want, they can come up with innovative ways of how to do it. But that our area of our domain is so complex. You can't have a person who's not a scientist trying to explain scientific requirements to a developer. So that's one of the things we do, how we don't take them out of the process and make them something different. The data governance or the data steward person has to be there. The scientist has to be there, and the developer has to be there. And instead of BAs and QAs driving action, taking requirements and driving action that is developed, we say, bring them there and let them be a documenter of interaction between the experts. Remove the people who are in between, those who make the work and those who do the work, but make sure they are there to document the conversations so we have a history of decisions made.
That's fascinating and couldn't agree more. Excellent. Well, look, thank you, Rodney. I appreciate you so much for the time you've taken with us today. I'm sure everyone's learned a lot, and we thank you for your time and every success with your new platform.
Thank you.